Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over chapter 1.2 of Blended Venom, Variant 5. We're going to talk about the toughest fights of each lane, my personal favorite and MVPs, and we're going to talk about all the knowledge that you need to explore the entire chapter. Before we get into the fights, make sure to like, share, and definitely subscribe so you can catch all the content. Alright, let's get into it. We're going to start off with what I felt was definitely the easiest of the lanes. If you have the right matchups, I'd suggest taking this lane first for your initial completion, especially if that's your goal, to complete the quest before you decide to go back for exploration. You're going to want, I'll show you a couple fights that you definitely want to make sure you have answers for. Here is the Iceman with Sasquatch's immunities and resistances. This was a great option for me to get Sasquatch in the fight, into the quest, and do the big damage that he can do. It was a lot of fun. Of course, not many folks are going to have Sasquatch right now, especially at a high rank. So other options you could bring in is Mephisto with his resistances and immunities, and Sorcerer Supreme. She's been an absolute MVP of 1.1 and definitely of 1.2. So she has an extremely high energy resist. A couple of buddies of mine, of course, including Strands, pointed that out. And Ares also pointed it out. So if you have her, I know she's new too, but not quite as new as Sasquatch. If you have her, you could bring her in. And a lot of us are going to have Mephisto. FaZe, who sent in some great fights, friend of the channel, did it with Mephisto too. So it can be done. Love Sasquatch's animations and those big yellow numbers that he can put up. I wanted to show the Longshot fight to show that he can get in there. He's a mystic. A lot of these champions have a significant amount of buffs. Yeah, Groot is going to shrug that parry stun a little bit faster, but who cares? You know, obviously you can see it works just fine. There's nothing to worry about. And, you know, we got pushed to the SB3 here. That's fine. Going to get to watch that kind of silly animation there. And you'll see how easily Longshot handles this damage. We're going to take a look at one more fight on this lane, but I wanted to show you the variety and the depth of mystics that you can bring in. So far, mystics have been excellent in 1.1 and 1.2. Let's take a look at this big SB2 damage. My buddy Pure Gonzo's got Longshot as an R3, seems to love him. And another friend that I'm making recently has his own YouTube channel, Inc. MCOC, is a huge fan of Longshot and did a pretty good review of him recently, as well as KT1, but I'm sure you've seen that. So massive damage. You see Longshot, that nice little ending scene of his. And then the other tough fight that I think you want to make sure you want to bring someone in, because the nodes on this lane are armor break immunity and breakthrough. So armor break immunity could be a challenge going against Red Skull, but you see how quickly Simsup has already handled that. We're at 3 bars of power, which means that damage phase is going to set in. These bleeds are going to get going, and this fight is, you know, it's over. Simsup was definitely an MVP of this 1.2. It was fun to go back and really utilize him and see what he could do. I had put Mystic Dispersion 5 on and just had an absolute blast with that. But you see what these bleeds are doing. And we're putting on the staggers, so our energy is just flying. And yeah, bait a couple SP1s. Gonna build back up to the SP3 here. I love this guy's animations. You know, if they've got buffs and or you can bleed them, I really don't think there's anyone better than this guy right here. If they don't have buffs or you can't bleed them though, there's definitely better champions. But he's got his niche and he fills it exceptionally well. Looks like I'm feeling a little too, oh no, I did bait. I did intercept the SB2. That's usually a sign of confidence when I do it. And then we're gonna have a great fight at the end of the video of Simsup taking on the final boss, Gamora. This fight, I think, was the fight of the chapter. My buddy Strands, he's a bit of a sorcerer expert, pointed out how nicely, how well, how efficiently she can take this fight because of how easily she gets her slow on. Watch this. It's not even going to matter that Nightcrawler is going to evade the SP1. Now we're on lane 2 here, which is a stun immune and unblockable specials lane. This was, in my opinion, definitely the most difficult fight on the lane. Look, he evaded the SP1, but the slow is on him, which means now I can even just go in and force him to switch stances. So now I don't even need to worry about the slow. He can't evade. Sure, he's stun immune, but what else, you know? And the unblockable specials, you just know how to evade those. And now Sorcerer's just going to get to do some work. You know, Nightcrawler's animations are always a little flashy to me. There's a lot going on the screen, so I doubt I'm going to play Sorcerer perfectly, but I did manage to throw the SP3 here in her damage phase. So we should start getting that every time we throw a special now, the armor block, or armor break, I'm sorry. Yep, there's the armor break. And you're going to start seeing the damage is ramping up. You know, I've got her as an R2. We're definitely going to be doing the Dragon Man hunt. I announced that, so I'm not going to go back on that unless he is just a terrible disappointment. And I was thinking he was going to be the next R3. And after playing with Sorcerer for 1.1 and 1.2 of this variant, let's put it this way. I feel lucky that I have them both. She is incredible. The fights are not over in an instant. It's not Longshot, but man, is her utility amazing. And you can configure her and play her for what the fight needs. I mean, we needed a slow option and she provides one. It's amazing. And we just talked about how she probably has enough energy resistance to take that Iceman fight pretty simply. This fight is over. That is a difficult fight. Stun immune Nightcrawler. That is a tough fight. So now we're on to lane 3, which is oscillate. The nodes are going to be oscillate. There were 2 extremely tough fights here. One was the Killmonger at the very beginning. I used Sorcerer Supreme again, just talking about how great she is. I used her because I was able to apply the armor break, which meant I didn't have to worry about reverberation. And then I did what I could to get her heal on block. The fight didn't transfer really well. It did go smoothly. I made a couple mistakes, but I finished the fight, I think, around 50% health. And then the rest of the team just really took over. I brought in Simps up for this specific fight. Being able to stagger, nullify Annihilus's Cosmic Control Rod, it's really helpful to me. Yes, he can be step backed, and we have the video on this channel on how to fight him. But there's something about doing the duels versus you got him in here and it's tough content and missing a step back light or something like that, or not doing perfect intercepts. That I just didn't want to mess with it. So I brought in Sims up, you know, as we talked about. If you can bleed them and you can armor break them and they've got buffs, there's no one better than Sims up. And we're seeing that play out right here. I mean, this just turns into a pretty simple parry 5-hit combo. Fight, throw the SP3. Ideally, I would want to bait the SP1s of Annihilus, but it got a little out of control for me, so we're taking these blocked hits on the SP2, but no big deal. This is the end of the lane, and all we've got left is the Gamora boss, which Simps up makes quite trivial. Another SP3, and bye-bye, Annihilus. Now we're moving on to lane 4, which for me was definitely the most difficult. There was a very difficult fight against a Wasp. The nodes here is 100% power rate and an increased ability, I think by like 20% or something like that. The Wasp was tough. I had hoped I'd be able to do it with Stealth, Spider-Man, or Spider-Gwen. They both worked fine, but I found myself getting backed into the corner really easily. Wasp didn't seem to want to throw her specials, and I'm in the back there, and I couldn't reapply the slow. And I went in 3, 4, 5 times. I wanted to show it to you, but I just wasn't able to get it done. So make sure you have an answer for that fight. A lot of my friends said they were able to get it done with Stealth. No one even tried Spider-Gwen that I had talked to. and I ended up just really destroying the fight with Spider-Man Stark. It almost didn't matter if she backed me into the corner, which she didn't, because when she threw her specials, I just let the auto evade work and do its thing. And then if I really got in trouble because of the increased power rate, I could just power drain her with the heavy. Sparky was an MVP. I love the guy though, and we saw a lot of him in 1.1, so I didn't want to go over that too much. Now, I didn't play perfectly here either, but that's fine. Stealth was fantastic for this. To the best of my knowledge, he has the only slow in the game that makes him a miss counter. He can't miss when the slow is on, and we're going to see that a few times here with Invisible Woman. I know I mistimed a few evades, but I just kept the slow debuff up on her, and I let him do his thing. You see the failed misses, failed miss, failed miss, and that's what makes her difficult to fight, right? And I didn't bring in a bleed champion. Well, I guess Simsup, but I didn't want to use him against Invisible Woman, so I brought in Stealth, and you know what? He did his job. I don't love the guy. There's some things about him that I'm not a huge fan of, but he did his job. That's what he's supposed to do, and he got us through. So you're going to want to make sure you bring in someone for that Wasp, and you're prepared for it, and you bring in someone for that Invisible Woman. And then we're going to finish off the video with, this is the boss fight here with this Gamora. The unblockable specials they can catch you by surprise. Her specials are pretty quick, pretty fast, and if she's got the Fury buff there, she can one-shot you. So you're going to want to make sure you watch out for that. But we play it safely, take some blocked hits to get her to throw her heavy, giving us an opportunity to go in and punish. Of course, we bait specials as best as we can, but once we get to that SP3 with Simsup, you know, the fight is pretty much yours to take home. You know, it's been gift wrapped. You've done the hard work. Now you just got to finish it off. He was an absolute MVP for me for 1.2, and so was Sparky. And Stealth Spidey too. You know, he did his job. I just am a little disappointed in the guy. I hope this was helpful. I hope this is something that you enjoyed. If you do have any questions, make sure to comment. And if you have any other options, say, hey, Vega, you know, you could have used this fight, this champion for this fight, or this champion also works. Quite a few of you did a great job of that and contributed to the 1.1 discussion, and I very, very much appreciate it. All right, well, this is about it. Let's watch Simsup finish this off, hopefully with some nice bleeds and a few specials. And it's time to get to chapter 2.1. See you next time. I hope you either learned something, were entertained, or even better, a little bit of both. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on Twitter at VegaGaming583. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.